But no, okay, so like I said, I think I'm gonna just like start with what, and a lot of this too, and I'm just gonna like start with this big disclaimer is like this is completely from like my eyes. So like there might be family and friends and people in my life and stuff who may either know like more than me all of these years and you never told me about your moms. Who's Danger Noodle? I don't recognize the name. Sorry, I don't recognize the gamer tag. Um, but yeah, yeah, my mom's not a thing. It's not a thing I throw out there. You know, it's a thing that's Brandon. My mom's Brandon. Who? Tavai? My mom? I mean, yeah. Like I said, it's not something that I really get into. I don't know. Driving back home because I got a flight back to my base. Yeah, see, my dad just moved out to Oklahoma. He just moved bases from El Paso to Lawton. I think Lawton is, I assume, where he's at. But yeah, man, I don't know. Yeah, with the mom thing, dude, it's just something that I've always kind of like kept to myself because it's something that I like dealt with by myself, you know. And I'm pretty like happy that that's the way I did it. I probably could have done it a little differently thinking back on it, but like the person that I am now is like has a lot to do with how I like dealt with that. And there's a lot of good and bad that comes with that, but like I said, I don't have any regrets about the way I like dealt with it, but I do know that there was ways I could have dealt with it better. Yeah, and I wouldn't change it either. So let's get into it. And like I said, so like all the stuff I know about my mom, like is just like what I know, and what I've been told, what I've heard, because like and what my mom told me, because I mean we were in each other's lives for 12 years, so not not a short amount of time, but definitely not a long amount of time. Um, so like I said, with my mom and my family. So I showed you guys my family yesterday. Nana's Annette Wheat, and so this is my mom's mom. This is the woman who gave birth to my mother. And I'm gonna try to find a picture of all of us, but it's probably gonna be kind of difficult. Um, I will try really hard. But like I said, let's try to get there. Let's try to get there. So this is my nana. I'm trying to, like I said, I'm trying to find one of like my nana and my mom. Um, it's been a while, man. Yeah, it's. I don't know if I'm gonna find one anywhere around here, but either way, um, my nana and my papa had my mom. Way back when. I honestly don't know the exact year. Jake Hush's friend. Everybody, all you people are my friends. Everybody in here is my friend. I would like to think so, at least. Either a friend or you're in here because you hate me. I mean, it's one of the two, right? Um, so she was born, and from what I understand, like everything was pretty good because like I told you guys, like my nana and papa grew up pretty poor. So they both like busted balls to like make something of themselves and make something for their family. My nana had my mom pretty young too, and then she had Ronnie. So it was my nana, my papa, and my mom and her brother, who was Ronnie, the coach at LSU. So that, like I said, they grinded to kind of get where they wanted to get, and they ended up doing exactly that. And I told you guys too that they ended up in Van Cleve with a restaurant. So I know they did a bunch of stuff beforehand, but I don't really think it's like pertinent to the story to get into. And honestly, I don't know too much about like that part of their lives. Hey Jay, I made an account just to see you. It's Susie. Just so you know my username. Love you. Love you too. Thank you for stopping by. I saw your text. I just haven't responded because I just started streaming. I got started a little late, so I'll text you back right after stream. Thanks for the text. I did see it. So like I said, I don't really know too much about that like beginning part of their lives. And even if I do, I just don't remember it. So they, life for them getting into like, I don't know what, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 was just like, from what I understand, it was just like life was great. My parents, made pretty good money with doing the restaurant. I think my papa was at one point making pretty good money at Mississippi Power, and he still does now. Still works for them now. So like I said, my mom was a really good cheerleader growing up. She was like gorgeous, and Ronnie was a great athlete. He was a really good quarterback, catcher, just like really good country family. You know what I mean? Just pretty good money. Yeah, I mean they made pretty good money doing the restaurant thing. So what ended up happening at one point, my mom got hit by a car, and I don't remember the exact age, and I'm sure if I got any family in here, they might let you guys know, but it was 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, somewhere in there. Pretty sure. she got hit by a car, and it that like really messed her up. That like changed everybody's lives. Because like I said, at that time, it was like mom was a really good cheerleader, and it was like next steps for her as an athlete and as a person in the community and stuff. And for Ronnie, it was the same thing, and my parents were making their next steps in life. So it was just like, from what I understand, that just like completely derailed the path, you know. And she was hit in front of our house, or near the bus stop near our house, waiting for the bus to go to school, by somebody. At first, I think the story was it was a drunk driver, but I'm pretty sure the story ended up being that somebody was driving their car and there was a baby in the back seat, and they were trying to, their baby dropped something, and she was crying or something, and she was paying attention to her and just fucking smashed my mom, basically, which isn't funny. It's just what happened. So that really, like, I'm messed her up mentally. Like, I know doctors after the fact and for years after just said that like her brain was just like never going to be the same because of that. I'm pretty sure it was a miracle that she lived, because like I said, I don't know how else to say it, but she got fucking smoked by this car. Like, it wasn't like she just got like tapped and fell, or she got shit on by this fucking car, dude. It's not funny, not okay. It's just what happened to her and how it affected her life. That's just what happened. So, you know, for her, what ended up happening, I think, is they told us at one point, you know, her brain, after that kind of went, and my parents talking about it a lot, and it's not quite the fight or flight, but that's what like the mindset was for her. It was like she felt like she had to live all of her life at once, or not at all. Like it was like 100 or 0. Like that's how like her brain told her she had to live her life, as a result of that accident, and like the mental and like emotional baggage that came as a result of that accident. So yeah, and honestly, I'm gonna ramble about this because like this is one of the first times I've like opened up about all this, so I'm probably gonna end up rambling about a lot of this stuff and like maybe hanging on stuff longer than I should. So I'll try to stay on track. Like I did a pretty good job staying on track last time, so I'll try to stay on track this time. I feel like I'm doing okay. But yeah, so that just kind of messed her up, and really I just think she ended up being on a lot of like prescription drugs and stuff, and I think people kind of know what comes with that, and I could be wrong about this at the early stages, but you know, with people who are on drugs like that, she was dealing with depression and anxiety on top of the broken bones and pain she's going through, and you know, like mental rehabilitation and physical rehabilitation, because she had to like relearn how to walk and shit, and like talk and eat and like do basic functions again, because like I said, that car accident just fucked her up. So there was just a lot of things that came with it. So like I said, she's on a lot of these, you know, prescription pain medicine, and honestly, if you know anything about my family, like that, my family's pretty like hard against just like, I don't know, prescription medicine for like things we feel like we can fix ourselves. And I don't mean that like my family's not ignorant, you know what I mean? Like we're not one of those ones. It's like, oh, fuck the doctor, fuck medicine, fuck that. But it's like we try to stay off like the ADD medicine and the depression medicine and shit like that if we can help it, because I'm a pretty strong believer that like there's a bigger issue than just like kind of fixing it and making yourself feel better. You just got to figure out, you know, like what the actual issue is and stuff, rather than suppressing it. So what ends up happening is these people use these drugs to suppress those like thoughts, and my mom was using those drugs to suppress those thoughts or feelings or emotions or physical pain at times. And what you do is, you know, you get it and you have it in your system, and you, for a day or two, you feel great because you have that medicine in your system. And then after a while, you know, you go, oh, well, I feel great, so I don't need to take this. And you throw the pill bottle that your doctor gave you away. And, you know, a couple hours pass or a couple days pass, and you're like, damn, I feel like shit. I feel like shit now. So, you know, your pill bottle, you don't know where your pill bottle is, you threw it out, or you sold it, or you did whatever you did with it. And now your only option is like a street drug. And I'm not the most versed on street drugs, and I don't really want to get into what my mom was or wasn't doing. But that's what she turned to. She turned to just like street drugs and hard drugs, that she would self-medicate with that. And that was like the start of a bad path for her. That was like the start of what was her like downward spiral kind of, or that's what I call it. So what ended up happening is my mom just ended up running with like a bad group of people, and just like kind of slipped into a bad crowd at like, you know, 14, 15, 16 years old. And like I said yesterday, around 15, my mom had me. Like for a while, like I said, I thought she had me around 16, 17. She had me physically at 15 years old. She was 15. So super young, still growing up, still like, I mean, you guys can imagine what it's like to have a kid at 15 on top of like having to recover from a car accident that almost killed you. So it was a tough thing, you know. Um, so I'm gonna stop again, just like I did yesterday, and thank everybody for being in here. Arabella and Anna Grace, Danger Noodle, Dad, Nathaniel, Duck, Coop, Nasty, Will, Susie. I really appreciate you guys. Loy, Windsock, Virgo. Really appreciate you guys being in here. It means a lot. Your dad said 16, so yeah, 16. And Dad might be able to correct me on some of these things, and I might. Dad also, if I get some things wrong, it's because I don't know, not because I'm trying to like lie or tell something wrong or something. But no, so like I said, they ended up having me, and like I told you guys yesterday, and I don't really know, and me and Dad will probably end up talking about it. But from what I understand, it was kind of like Mom was pregnant, and not a lot of love you guys too, and thank you, Anna Grace. Yeah, love you guys, appreciate it. From what I understand, it was like Mom was pregnant, and I think she didn't really know she was pregnant, or I don't know. I think most of what it was is they didn't know she was pregnant, or she hid it for a while. And by the time my dad was in the picture and I was like in the picture as an unborn baby, like coming into the world, my dad just kind of like took ownership of me at that time. So like we went from there. Like that's for me. That for me is like when life started. When all of our life started was just kind of like when me, my dad. Yeah, she didn't know for a while, right? And Nana told me that too. Like she told me she didn't know for a minute. So yeah, it was like partially like I think once she found out a little bit, she was scared, and then for a while she just straight up didn't know. But yeah, so like I said, at 16, life starts for us. That's what happens. We start at 16, and like I said, I was born in Ocean Springs, Mississippi, which is I don't know which side of the coast that is. I'm awful at directions and geography and stuff. So one of the sides of the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And I grew up for a little bit. I like went around with my dad, who was in the military, like while they were still married, my dad and my mom. I went around with them to like Texas, and the main places I remember is Texas and Germany. I don't really remember going very many places besides those two places. Because like I said, stuff happened in Germany. I told you guys yesterday, like Mom essentially got kicked out of Germany. So I ended up just coming back, and I was kind of like separated from him for a little bit, because like I said, I lived with my Nana for a little bit, and it wasn't separation. It was just like everybody was doing different stuff at the time, and everybody was trying to make stuff work. So we were just kind of like in turbulence for a little bit, and those were the only places. So yeah, exactly. So I was just in El Paso and Germany for a little bit, and then I grew up just playing sports. So for me, it went from living with my dad and my mom to living with my grandparents, and now I'm doing like baseball. Baseball and football were like the biggest things for me. So, and I can show you guys some of that because it's kind of funny. So from there, I did school in Vancleave. And like I said, I'm just gonna kind of ramble because I'm thinking about what are the important parts to hit with like my mom and stuff. Ocean Springs closer to Alabama, if I remember correctly. I used to go there a lot. Yeah, so whichever side that is. Like I said, I'm awful at that. So I grew up early there, and then if I remember correctly, my mom moved back. Yeah, South Mississippi. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's the Mississippi Gulf Coast. It's on the Gulf of Mexico. I'm just not sure if it's east or west, like I said, because I know Biloxi's one side and Ocean Springs is the other. Maybe it's east. I think it's east, right? So what happens for me is I'm living with my grandparents for a little bit, and then I think my mom finally comes back home because I think Mom and Dad got divorced. So Mom comes back home and kind of resets. So we all move in to a house near my great grandparents. We moved into it wasn't a trailer, but it wasn't a house. Yeah, it's east. See, I was right. So we moved into like a house on my great grandparents' property, and it was me and my mom and my two sisters. I think it was Sierra and Jasmine at the time, and then my Nana and Papa were also living with us because they were building the house that I showed you guys yesterday. So we were all living in a pretty small house, and during that time I was still going to Vancleave. And dude, I want to tell you guys about growing up and doing that stuff in Vancleave, because that's some fucked up not fucked up shit, but it's like a thing that not a lot of people know about. So when I was younger, going to school in Vancleave, kindergarten, first and second grade, my test scores were really high. Like my test scores for like MCT and I don't know, entry exams and stuff for like just public school were just really high, like really high based on their their standards. So I know at one point, like one of the first conversations was about moving me from like first grade to second grade or first grade to third grade or something like that. And my parents like immediate thing, and if you guys know me now, like I'm a pretty small dude. Like I graduated high school at like 6 foot, 150 pounds. You know, like pretty small guy, and that was playing sports and like being in the weight room and stuff. So like you could imagine what life would have been like for me 2 years ahead of the curve like that. That wouldn't have been fun. Like I said, especially as an athlete, that would have been. I would have not played sports anymore. I would have had to hang it up then and been a scholar for the rest of my life, which would have definitely put me on a way different path. I think. But no, so I end up. My parents, like I said, end up telling them no. Like they're like, no, we're not. You know, we're fully against that. We're not really with. We don't really agree with you wanting to move him up a grade or, you know, move him around or whatever. So the school came back and they were like, look, we just don't have. They tested me some more, and they, you know, they kind of went back and forth about moving me and stuff. And what my parents told me recently is the school kind of came back and they were like, look, we don't have the capacity to teach this kid. Talking about me. We don't like have the tools to teach your son the way he needs to be taught. And what they were trying to do is either get me out of their school district so that I could be like taught adequately, or move me up grades. Because like it was either like come to somewhere like Jackson, it was either come somewhere like Jackson and go to like a higher level school, or like move somewhere like Georgia or something like that, or move up some grades so that I would get like a adequate education, formal education. So like I said, the school said they weren't equipped to do that. And my parents said that they knew like the law or whatever, and I don't know. There's probably like a little here nor there, but they just went to him and told him like, hey, you have to teach my kid. We're not moving him. Like this is where we're at. So we're gonna have to figure something out. So what ended up happening, dude, is I went through and like I said, I haven't told hardly anybody about this, but I went through like it felt like years of testing. I don't know what the actual time period was, but I went through just a period of my life where all they did was fucking tested me. Like they just like they mentally tested me and like emotionally tested me for just like I said, it felt like a couple years. I don't know what the actual time period was, but they just like it was like they would do blotch tests to like test my like emotional stability at times. And it wasn't always about like stability and stuff. It was most of the time about like capability. But they did hit me a lot of times with like mental stability stuff. So they would hit me with blotch stuff, asking me how I processed it, to try to figure out how I process shit. And we used to do like shit with cubes, and I would have to make shapes with cubes and shit. And dude, and I would just have to do like, dude, just so much testing. I just remember how miserable I was at like 7, bro. For like, it just felt like I was like a fucking like test subject, you know? Like they're just fucking. They were not sticking pins and needles in me, but they might as well have been. You know what I mean? I just remember like the rooms that I was in just being like poorly lit and just like quiet and empty. And it was just like me and this one other person who didn't fucking know me. And they're just like testing me to get data from me and like these results from me so that they can like use it. It was fucking weird, dude. Like I was only 6 or 7. So like I said, I probably didn't fully process it at the time, but bro, I just remember that shit being super weird and just like, anything you'd see in a movie, you know what I mean? It was like something you'd see in a fucking movie. It was some of the weirdest shit I've ever been a part of. But what they ended up doing is I was in like first grade, and they would send me to like the middle school Monday, Wednesday, test to try to figure out mental stability, other shit. Damn, could have used some of that after my parents split, right? And it wasn't for any of that. It was just like it was all school related, because like I said, they were just trying to figure out what the fuck to do with me. Because I'm like this to them, and my parents, and I don't truthfully know. But my parents said that like I was so high on the bell curve for IQ that like they like I said, they didn't have the capacity to teach me. They just didn't have the capacity to do stuff like that. So it wasn't so much like them knowing anything about my life. It was just like the way I tested and stuff. So I forgot kind of where I was at with the testing and stuff, but it was like I said, it was just what they ended up doing is they sent me to the middle school on Monday and Wednesday, for like math. They would send me for like math on Monday and Wednesday, and then they would send me for like English on like Tuesday and Thursday, and they would send me for something else on Friday. And it was just like, it was shit like that, where they would just rotate me through like the core subjects at a higher level, in a way that like made sense, kind of. And honestly, Elo, it's fine. Don't worry, Will. Yeah, everybody's got to get through something, right? Got you here, Duck. So that's how I feel about it anyway. So what ends up happening after that? We do the testing, and then I talked. Where was I just at? Like I completely lost my train of thought. Had nothing to do with all the splitting and family stuff. So I don't quite remember where I was at. Do you guys remember? Sorry, I just completely lost my train of thought. Damn, sorry. Testing for school. Yeah. So, oh, okay, that's what I was saying. So like I would go for like the core subjects. And if you guys know, like a lot of the people that know me, it's something that's funny, but it's honestly like pitiful. It's pitiful, bro. I am the worst at geography. Like I don't know where hardly anything is outside of the southeast of the United States. Like, and I'd be hard pressed to tell you where the states are in the southeast. And like I said, I'd be even more hard pressed to tell you what direction I'm driving or like where I should turn, like shit, like stupid shit. That like kids learned in school that I didn't end up learning because on top of not getting like the regular formal education that I was supposed to be a part of, I was missing out on all of those things because I was just doing the core subjects at a higher level, and I was a part of this program called Wings. It was like and I'm sure Jay Big Brain till he gets asked about land. Right, exactly. Literally, like ask me about continents, bro, and you can make me look like an idiot. So and it's probably like continents is probably true. Like I'd probably look like an idiot literally on continents. So and I was part of this gifted program. I'm sure a lot of people had gifted programs where they're from, because most people I feel like who ended up in like college or like doing things, crossing circles with other people that do these types of things were a part of this gifted programs. Because like I said, a lot of the people I meet said they were part of it. And in, like I said, in Van Cleve it was called Wings. In Ocean Springs, I don't remember what it was called. And in D'Iberville it was called Journey. So like I said, I know it was called something different everywhere else. And the gifted program, I remember, wasn't even something that was like, we didn't even do anything meaningful. Do I know about the different oceans? No, honestly, I don't know where any of the oceans are. I don't know which one's which. I don't know. Yeah, I would like to learn one day, but today's not that day. So like I said, in these Wings classes, we didn't really even do anything meaningful. Like the only thing, yeah, not anything we ever did, not a single thing we ever did in Journey. Can ask where Starkville is, and he doesn't know. Yeah, I don't fucking know, man. Not a single thing we ever did in those classes was meaningful or like a contribution to my education at any point. So the way I look at it is, if it didn't contribute during the time that those hours were supposed to be contributed, then it took away from it. And that's how I feel about it. Cause like I said, like something as simple as like geography, and like, I never had a history class, until high school. I never took a single, history class because like I said, the gifted classes would take place of all the electives, the electives we didn't have to learn or know for like core testing. Cause all you do during the public school is standardized testing. So if you don't take a standardized test, the subject doesn't matter, to them at least. So like I said, when it came to like Journey and missing classes and stuff, I never took history or like geography. So the only thing I knew fucking about growing up was Indians, like Native Americans, sorry, not Indians, Native Americans. And like like slavery and like World War II. That's like it. That's all I ever learned about, growing up, like in the Southeast. And it's like it's something I thought was funny growing up. But like I said, it's not something that's very funny to me anymore, because it's like, I don't know a lot of the basic things that a lot of people know about our country, or like fucking, that's it, like just the country, like the history of the country, the layout of the country, like just things about our country. So yeah, what ends up happening after that, we move out of Van Cleve, just because like my parents sold the restaurant, and they started to build their house at the same time my mom kind of moved back. So we were in Ocean Springs. I moved to Ocean Springs. TOS, yeah, I know. Like I said, Native Americans, not Indians. So we moved to Ocean Springs, and dude, like I told you guys yesterday, I'll never forget the way people from Ocean Springs treated me, because of like what my social status was in Ocean Springs. Because just coming from where I came from at the time, which was a trailer park, and in a place where like Ocean Springs is one of the nicest places on the coast. I would say like top 3 of all the places on like, from like fucking Jackson down almost. So like I said, I'll never forget how those people treated me, and like how how that like changed my outlook on life, with people and the way that they can treat me and stuff. Because even that young, it was just like it was kind of eye opening, like the way coming from a place where my family had what they had, and then going to a place where we still have what we had, it just didn't look like it. And like my mom didn't, but like my parents did during that time, because we weren't in that trailer that I showed you guys yesterday. We were in a different house. So like I said, just being treated by people like that just kind of like was eye opening at the time. So, I mean, that's the big points that most people do for history in the Southeast, though, like public school or not. You'll probably be hard-pressed to find a history class a push, something similar, talks about something outside of that region's history, outside of global conflicts. Yeah, and I'm with you. But, again, like, I just know that I still missed a lot of the basic knowledge that I had. So, like I said, coming from OS, I was there for a little bit. I was only there for, like, a year. I was not there for a very long time. Just long enough to make, like, a couple enemies, I feel like. And then I just kind of dipped up out of there. I made a best friend, and probably, like I said, probably a couple enemies. So, that was a good like experience though, because like I said, that kind of like prepared me for what I was getting into with like the rest of my life. And at 10, but and that time, like when my mom was poor and we were all poor, it's really hard. And like one of my friends and I have been talking about it. It was really hard because during that time, when we just didn't have anything, and she was on like government assistance, and we were just going through it, dude, honestly. And there was 3 kids and no like stable male figure. It just like forced me to like grow up. Like it was like I grew up at like, I felt like I had to grow up at like 10. It was like 8 and 10 years old. I just had to like wake the fuck up. Which, like I said, I feel like that's why the Ocean Springs situation just like shook me so much. It's because like I had to go from being like a kid to the man of the house at like 8. And it wasn't hard. It was never hard. It was never something that I felt like I shouldn't have had to do, or like I feel sorry for myself for having to do. Because like if I didn't do it, who the fuck would have? Like I had 3 sisters that like needed somebody to be there for them, and my mom needed help taking care of 3 kids. Like she was working like 2 jobs, 3 jobs all the time, like trying to hustle, making money, and then like on top of that, making the wrong decisions like for her and her family. So like somebody had to be there, and it was me. And like my sister helped too, and my nana and papa were there for us too. But like I said, in the house on a day to day, it was me. And I remember like vividly like having to brush my sister's hair before we went to class, and like having to wake the house up to go to class, because like my mom would be sleeping in between her jobs. Like, she'd get home at 4:00 in the morning to have to go back out at 7, so she'd sleep during the time that we're supposed to be getting ready for school, or we're supposed to be having breakfast and this and that. So, I just kind of knew where everything was and knew how to cook. And I just kind of like took care of everybody felt like a couple years, honestly. Felt like I just took care of everybody for a couple years. And honestly, even when Sam was around, like he obviously helped and contributed and stuff, but like he was disabled because he had like a neck thing. So like he wasn't disabled, but he's just like he wasn't as able-bodied as like a 10-year-old me was. So like I said, I ended up taking, I felt like, a lot of the responsibility in that trailer, because I mean it wasn't a household. And it just forced me to grow up a lot, and that's a lot of like why I got so like hardened, you know what I mean? Because a lot of people know me to be kind of like insensitive, and that's like a lot of why, is because it's just like I had to like shut a lot of things out and just like shut a lot of things down emotionally at a really young age, that it's hard to like wake them back up. It's like the way I was thinking about it on the way here. It's like the way I look at it is just like a dead part of me, kind of. It's just like when I had to go through those things, it was like if it was something that I had to like squelch or not talk about, it was just like I killed it, and it just became like this black stone in like my body, and like wherever that black stone is right now, it's just like there, dead. But like I can dig it out and undo it, but it's just gonna take some time to really undo it and fix it and heal from it and stuff. So it was just a really hard time. But I know during that time, and like I said, that really ended up like making me and my mom really close. My mom was really close with all of us, but I felt like we were really close, and Jasmine also felt like they were really close too. And I don't want to take away from that, but I really feel like me and my mom had a really like unique relationship. Because Because I don't know, I just felt like we were friends. I felt like at no point did I ever feel like she was just like my mom. You know what I mean? It always at every point felt like, I don't know, we were just friends. Like we were just really good friends, and we'd always been really good friends. And we just talked about stuff I just feel like we shouldn't have like been talking about. You know, like in a good way. Like I just feel like we just had a lot of serious conversations and just like real conversations, and she just like really let me know, you know. She just really like helped prepare me for, I don't know, things that I was going to go through and real life. And I don't know, man, like I just remember a lot of the conversations we had, and they were just really meaningful. And like I said, I don't, if you know me, you know I have a really bad memory. And honestly, I know I feel like two big reasons. I've been thinking about it a lot why I have a bad memory. Two reasons. There's a third reason I can't say on stream, but two really big reasons. One is like suppression from having to go through that time that I just told you guys about. And just like having to hide everything and put everything under to be able to like take care of my family and take care of my family members, and just be there for people. Cause like when you're in a situation like that, to me, the way I rationalized it was like I had to like be strong. I had to be a strong face for people around me, because like if they didn't have me to look at for like reassurance, then they didn't have anybody to look at for reassurance. So if I wasn't strong and like hard for everybody else, then it would have fell apart, you know? So what that really did is like it fucking like desensitized me to like life, you know? It has become really apparent that like it's hard for me to deal with a lot of things in my life now, because of all the things I've like shoved down, and all of the things I'm unable to process because of all of the like emotional mechanisms that I shut down over the years. But the good news is like by doing stuff like this, I can slowly but surely get over those parts of myself and find new parts of myself where I can deal with those types of things. And then the other one, and it's a little bit more interesting, and I hope to have a conversation with you guys about it soon. But a big part of mine and my mom's relationship, two big parts, was video games and music. Those were two of the big things that we shared. And one of the bigger one was music. The only big part about video games was like Mario and Nintendo. I'll get into that in a second. But music was a big thing for us. We would share a lot of music together, and it was mainly hip hop. I know the big two were Lil Wayne and Eminem. Those were the two that we enjoyed listening to together. More so Lil Wayne than Eminem, honestly. And what I felt like what I did from during that tough time, and also after she passed, was I like took music and I like tied my emotions into the music that I listened to. And I say that because like even to this day, every song that I've ever saved, I still have. Like every song on iTunes that I've ever paid for, every SoundCloud song that I've ever liked, every Spotify song that I've ever added to a playlist, like I still have that. And I've gone at many points to like clean those parts of my life out, because like, you know, sometimes sometimes you want to get rid of some playlists, or sometimes you want to clean up your library or something like that. And I've always found it really hard to delete things, because I feel like delete songs, because I feel like the songs are a part of me. Like I feel like almost fucking every song I've listened to that I like care to keep and care to keep listening to, and that I attach meaning to in some way, is a part of me. Like, so like I said, two of the reasons I feel like it's really hard to get into that stuff is because a lot of my emotions are tied up there. So what I hope is that soon I can figure out an effective way to like dig into all the music that I know, you know, like I've tied emotion into, and talk to you guys or somebody, like hopefully you guys, because I really enjoy doing this more than I feel like talking to like a fucking therapist or like my friends in like a dark room or something. I like this a lot better. So hopefully I can do something like that with you guys. And honestly, I can show you too, because like this is kind of what it is. And I've started because, like I said, I started to realize it. A lot of these songs, like a lot of these songs specifically, are ones that I know I've like tied emotion into. Because like this one, like I know this one was like me and my mom used to listen to this together. And I could be wrong about that. There was a Bruno Mars song, but I'm pretty sure the song came out before she passed. Or this album did, yeah, 2011. So, and I know, like, I remember one song, if you guys remember, "Hold My Hand" by Michael Jackson. That song, the last time I ever heard that song, or the song that, the first time that that song ever played was the last time I ever rode in a car with my mom. Um, and I remember when it came on, it was 97.5 WABD, and um, they threw it out there, and they were like, it's brand new, Michael Jackson coming at you now in 30 seconds or something like that. And I remember my mom, like, she was taking me to school, and during that time we were like skipping school a lot because, like I said, she was kind of just not, her priorities weren't right. They just weren't right. Like, simply put, her priorities just weren't straight. And she was taking me to school finally, and it wasn't finally at that point, but it was just like not something that we did that often. And she was just taking me, and it was, like I said, it was just one of those times we got some alone time, and she was really excited. She was really like happy to share that moment with me. And I remember we sang that song, like we listened to it, and we found it somewhere else, and we just sang the song at like the top of our lungs for like the rest of that day, or like the rest of the trip. And I just like, I can't like listen to the song, because it's like so hard to listen to it now. Like I said, I know I have a lot of songs like that, like in this playlist, that are just like if I had to sit here and talk to you, like I said, like if I had to sit there and listen to Hold My Hand and explain to somebody what it makes me feel, and like, what I feel like I could do to fix it, I just feel like I could get through a lot of these like feelings faster, because I know like one of them's like Kid Cudi, and I don't want to get sidetracked on this because it's a conversation I hope to have a different day, but either way, so we're like I said, we're going through that rough patch, and that's really all it was for a couple years. It was just like it was a rough period of time for our family. My mom was just like in and out of jail, back and forth with guys, in and out. Guys were just in and out of our house. She owed people money. She was doing drugs. It just wasn't a good time, man. It just wasn't a good time for us. Then, like I said, Sam came in the picture, and then we had my sister Arabella. And honestly, it like didn't even get any better from there. Like Sam tried, and like they did the thing, and they didn't, nothing really bad happened, but what ended up happening at one point that kind of like sealed the deal. Sorry, I'm trying to get this shit off my mic. I'll worry about it later. What ended up sealing the deal for like me and my mom, and actually I'll talk about something else a little bit before. Child Protective Services started getting involved with my family, because I remember at one point, and it may have been me, but I think somebody had snitched on us. And if you guys know, like, all it takes for somebody to get Child Protective Services called on them, especially like at that time, I felt like, was just for somebody to go tell somebody, oh, I think this is going on with that family. Because, and like I said, all I think what ended up happening, I'm going to try to fix this shit on my mic. Hang on. All that ended up happening was, somebody saw like a bruise on one of our arms and just went and told a teacher, or, a parent saw a bruise on one of our arms or something, went and told a teacher, like, hey, I feel like, they're being beat at home. So what they did was they like questioned I remember they like took us to the counselor's office, the school counselor, and we were like questioned about, like, does your mom beat you, and do your parents do this, and does your parents do that, and did this happen, does that happen, and blah 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 blah. And nothing ended up happening as a result of that, because like my mom wasn't beating us, like we weren't being mistreated. She wasn't making all the right decisions, but like I said, we were never being mistreated. So that was like, that kind of started some weird things in our family, where like, like my parents didn't feel like we were in, my Nana and Papa, her parents didn't feel like we were in the best spot, because like they knew what was actually going on. So they just didn't feel like we were in the right spot. So the conversation started for us to start moving with them potentially. And like my mom never wanted that. She never wanted that to happen. She did, but she didn't want us to be gone. You know what I mean? Like, she wanted a good life for us. She just didn't. We were her world. So if she lost us, then it would have been really hard for her. And I remember we had a conversation at one point, and this is the only thing like I've told. I don't know if I've told anybody this, including like my parents. The only conversation I regret like having with my mom, was, I remember at, I was like 10. And like I said, we were just friends. Like, me and my mom were just really, 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 really good friends. And she asked me, like, disconnected for a bit, but now I'm back. Welcome back, Will. She asked me, like, do you want to live with me? Like, do you want to move away? And I remember telling her, like, I do want to live with you. And like I said, I was 10, and to me, like, the mental depth I had to have to say something like this was fucked up. Um, I told her, I was like, I want to live with you, but I want to have the best life for me. So, if Nana and Papa want me to move in with them and they want to give me the world, then I just don't know what I'm supposed to do at that point. Like you're putting me in a weird spot, kind of, and that just crushed her. I remember, and I told her, and it wasn't like as cut and dry as that. It wasn't like, oh fuck you, I'm leaving. It was just like, Mom, like, you're making the wrong decisions right now. Like I can't choose the wrong thing because of like your feelings, you know what I mean? Like I got to do what's right, and you got to start doing what's right if that's what you want, And like I said, that was just one of those conversations that just like that crushed her, because I know that probably just made her feel like she failed, and I don't think at any point she had really like felt like she had failed. Maybe she might have felt a little disappointed in herself, or maybe felt like she could have done things better, but like I said, I think that was the first time where it was just like fuck, maybe I truthfully haven't been doing what I've needed to been doing this whole time. And she had good moments, she had bad moments. She was in and out of rehab, in and out of AA. Just had, like I said, had some issues. But no, so after that, I mean, it was just still the rough life. And what ended up happening at one point was I lived in that trailer that I showed you guys yesterday. And I can show you guys again, but let me go find it. Google Maps. Go to the Highland Park. So Highland Park right here. We lived in this trailer park, like I said, and like I told you guys this yesterday. Sorry for people that are hearing this for a second time, but my parents, like I said, my mom and my stepdad at the time, were just doing drugs and fucking with the wrong people, and owed some people some money, and because of that, the very little that we owned was stolen from us, and that's it. I mean, it's like I said, we just owned very little, and I was at school, and I remember being pulled out of school because, like I said, at this point, CPA was involved, Child Protection Service Agency, CPS, services. I don't know what it is. Child Protection Services. They were already involved, so we were kind of removed from the house by my parents and by Child Protective Services. And that was just like, that was the start of a new life for us. I moved to D'Iberville. My parents actually kept me in Ocean Springs for a little bit. I don't think I finished the school year, but they ended up moving me to D'Iberville shortly after. I don't really know at that point what my mom was doing. I think she was just trying to get clean and figure her shit out. Because like I said, we were just kind of removed from the situation. I don't remember seeing her much after that. And I know, like I said, a lot of this stuff, my memory is really bad with this stuff for a few reasons, but I feel like 2 reasons. One, I'm a fucking idiot. And 2, I feel like I've just suppressed a lot of this stuff because, like I said, it was a really hard time. So it's hard for me to remember some stuff. So like I said, I don't think I remember seeing her at any point, but I definitely could have. So like I said, I don't remember seeing her at any point very much after that. And I moved there. I moved to D'Iberville in 5th grade, and I think she passed away. I was either in 7th grade or 8th grade. And like I said, I think it was, I want to say it was 8th grade because I think I went to high school after that. But I think I'm going to tell you guys about the day she passed away, because after that, it just kind of, I keep disconnecting, so I have no idea what's going on. I'll catch the vibe when I get home about 2 hours. You want to play League, then hit me up. For sure, yeah. I think we're going to be playing some games tonight. I think Josh just texted me because he just got home, actually. So we should be playing some games. I'll hit you up, bro. Appreciate you stopping by the stream. And again, I'll take a second to thank everybody for being in here again. Cousin Val, Danger Noodle, Dad, Nathaniel, Haley, Doc, Coop, Nasty, Mega, Will, Zloy, Windsock. I appreciate you guys. I hope that we can keep in touch. Hey, Cousin Val. Yeah, it was nice meeting you. I hope we can keep in touch too. Yeah, this has been a decent way to kind of keep people up to date. So like you're saying too, I hope we can keep in touch because I'm trying my best to keep in touch. I got a couple more months of turbulence, I feel like, and then I got a few years of stability. So yeah, that's my plan for now. But so yeah, like going fast forward into kind of like 6 CJ. Yeah, see you, Will, man. Take it easy, man. Be safe. I remember right before my mom passed away, and not very many people remember or know this. I don't think anybody knows this besides my immediate family. I had a birthday party on the beach, on Ocean Springs Beach, and my mom was supposed to come, and that was supposed to be kind of one of those moments where we're supposed to start to get past things and just start working towards building a better life for everybody. And let me find the picture before I get into it. But I remember the birthday, dude. That was one of the cool birthdays because it was during that time where I still had everybody from all the schools that I had gone to in my life. So all of those people came to that birthday party. And it was just like a really big birthday party on the beach. It was just really cool. Like I said, I really just want to find the picture because I feel like it matters. It's a good way to get to know our president, but in all honesty, going through just what I've heard, I'm sure there's more. It shows even more what kind of person you are. Just you always been a positive person. Also, if you're down for some R6, hit me up. Yeah, I appreciate it. And yeah, that's kind of the point, man. I want people to know a little bit about me, a little bit more about me than the asshole who tells people what to do, But yeah, I appreciate the kind words too about me being a positive person because that's something I've tried to take seriously. So I appreciate the words. And yeah, if you're down for some R6 soon, I'll hit you up. That game was infuriating yesterday. It was so hard. You have to go check out my clip. My clip's somewhere on the channel. You have to go check that out because it was funny. I got like 3 kills. The sound's off, but or like the sound's like messed up, but it was really cool. I'm not gonna find the picture, I don't think, but I had a birthday party on the beach, and I remember, dude. I remember like it was yesterday, and I'll never forget it because it was just fucked me up. Only time you're a dick is when we're in the middle of setting up shit for events. Shit's stressful. I get it. Yeah, you're right, man. Events. Yeah, I'll never apologize for being stressed or events because that's just part of it. But no, like I said, what ended up happening was, and I'm like I said, I'll never forget it. We were on the beach, and she drove one of my grandma's old BMW. She drove an old green BMW, and she was driving from from the big bridge, the Ocean Springs Bridge, towards our party, towards the parking lot to go into our party. And I remember she was late, and we were all like kind of wondering where she was because at that very moment when we were all trying to figure out where she was and when she was passing us, we were getting ready to do the cake. So we were trying to see if we could wait for her to do the cake with her. So like I said, at that very moment, she drove past us. Yeah, and she smiled and waved. I'll never forget. She smiled and waved at us. She was wearing a big floppy hat. She had you could see all like her beach bags next to her, like ready for the day. And that was the last time I saw her. That was the last time I saw my mom. She never stopped. She never parked. Yeah, that was just the last time I ever saw her. And thinking back on it, we've talked to some doctors about where my mom was at mentally and stuff, and probably what happened back then is she probably thought she was there. She probably thought just all the drugs she was on and just the path she was on and stuff and just the people she was fucking with, she probably just like lived that day as normal. She probably drove past it and thought she stopped and said hey and could have told you a memory about it more than likely, which is that's a sad part. Like I said, that was the last time I remember seeing my mom. And then after that, like I said, that was like my 13th birthday, so that was in like May, and so she passes away like a month and a half later. I remember, and Colton's not in here, but he was in here yesterday, and when I was talking about my dad's, like finding my biological dad and stuff, I remember it was a really hot summer. 2012 was a really hot summer, in South Mississippi at least, and I was playing baseball. I was doing the Little League World Series thing, not Little League World Series thing. I was doing the All-Star thing. And like I said, we don't have any fucking pictures of this time on the internet for some reason. And now here's some. So I remember, like I said, it was a really hot summer and we were getting ready. We were still playing like the district tournament. And my papa had been telling me that I had to drink like 4 full glasses of water. He was like, like, you're gonna be in trouble. I'm gonna start grounding you, and he was looking out for my safety because it was, like I said, it was hot as fuck. I remember it being super hot. When we went to Texas that year, every day we played, it was over 100 degrees. Like the heat index was over 100 degrees. So like I said, he had told me, you have to drink 4 glasses of water a day, like before you go to practice and like well before you leave for practice. And so I was like, all right, cool. And obviously I didn't like take that super seriously, and I was drinking water, but I wasn't doing it as seriously as I should have been. And back in the day, and I'll show you guys this picture again of my house. Back in the day, you could see, or you could hear my papa coming down the street in his truck. He drove a really old truck for a really long time. He drove this truck. So dude, like I said, we were the only 2 houses on the street. And like I said, you could hear him from the end of the fucking street. So like when me and my sister had to do like dishes and stuff, we could hear him coming down the street. So we would jump up and, hey, we got to do the dishes now, after arguing about it for an hour. Hey, we got to do the dishes now. We got to get up and do the dishes. We hear Papa, so we'd go in there. It's like, we was balling, and that truck was loud as fuck. Right. Yeah. So, Papa lived in a house like this, and he just drove that truck every day because that's part of it. I mean, you guys know, like, that's how people do what they got to do. And I respect them for that. Like, I respect them for the path that they went on to get where they got. So it was one of those days. Like I said, I remember very vividly what I was doing was I was texting my best friend Colton, and I was playing Call of Duty Ghosts campaign. I was playing Call of Duty Ghosts campaign. Like I said, I had the big glass of the big Nukes cups. You guys know the big Nukes cups. I had a big glass filled with water that I hadn't touched yet. It was sitting there, and I hadn't touched it because I was so busy playing COD. But it was sitting there just like sweating all over the table and shit. And I heard my papa's truck coming down the street. And again, we knew when he got home every day, because he's one of those guys that he woke up at 6 in the morning and he would go to work, and he would get home at like 1, 2, 3 in the afternoon. And most of the time he would get home like anywhere between like 30 minutes to an hour after we got home from school. He would be home shortly after. Like we were not there for very long before he got home. So that was our time to do what we had to do. And during this time it was summer, but we still knew when he was going to be home. So during that day, it was like 11 or 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And if you know my papa, he is a no bullshit, like, work is work, we're doing work, like, that's what this time is for type guy. So like, he doesn't come home to grab something to eat, or like because he doesn't feel good. Like my Nana will do that. My Nana, like, and she's a grinder too, don't get me wrong, my Nana's a fucking grinder, but she loves to take her little breaks when she can get some. Like she says, if she can run to the house to take a little nap, or if she can run to the house to come grab something to eat, or see us, like, do something that's just not work, she probably will. Especially if it's like something to do with the house or the family or something like that. So like I said, I knew as soon as I heard his truck that something was wrong. And I you can ask Colton, and I'm curious if I could ever pull up like the actual text messages. But my parents walked up these back steps right here. So they would park here, and there's doors on the other side of the house. We have like a deck back there. So nobody really uses the front steps. Like nobody really ever uses the front steps. They're super steep. You can't tell from the picture, but like they're super hard to go up. So people, like I said, my parents were in the back steps, and the living room's like here, and I was sitting here, like I was sitting through these doors. And I could hear them. You can still hear them walking up the steps. So I'm sitting in the living room, and I texted Colton when I heard his truck turn off, and I said, I think my mom died. Like I promise to God, like I texted him. I didn't just say it. I didn't think it. I didn't feel it. I texted him, and I said, I think my mom's dead, before they got upstairs, before I saw my parents, before anything happened. I was like, just bro, I think my mom passed away. And my parents came up, and like I said, the way it is, it's like a big glass door. It's like a big glass door to my left. It's like I'm sitting on the couch. There's a big glass door to my left, and you can see like the stairs come up, and there's like a wall that blocks from the stairs, so you can't see anybody until they're like up from the stairs. So when I saw my parents coming to the top of the stairs, my papa was like carrying my Nana, like she was like bent over, like sobbing, like. He was like carrying her up the stairs. So like I said, I knew. I knew as soon as I saw that. I looked over, and I knew. And Colton had texted me back something. I was just like, I don't know, bro. I'll text you soon. Like I got to deal with this. And I went and got. I think my papa went and got Jasmine. And he got me too because I was sitting there. She just went and got her from her room, and they put us out to the deck, and we were sitting there crying. They were sitting there crying, and they just told me, like, hey, your mom, they found her passed out on the bathroom floor. Sorry we lost you. It's all good, Dad. I'm still here. So yeah, they told us, they were like, your mom, we found her today, passed out on the floor. She aspirated, and for those of you who don't know, she threw up and she was laying on the ground and just like suffocated because she couldn't breathe because she threw up in her mouth. And it was a result of two things. And this goes into a deeper conversation about like me and things about me that some people maybe not know. She was on drugs, and whether they were prescription or street doesn't really matter. It was probably something prescription that was still street, like Xanax or something like that. And I'm pretty sure it was Xanax. I could be wrong. But she was also drinking, so that killed her. And it was an overdose first, and then the drinking didn't help. So like I said, something about me that people don't really know is like that happened. So that was a big part of my life, and my mom overdosing, and that being the way that she went out is a big part of my life. So when a lot of these things happen in hip hop, with like Lil Peep passing and Ski passing and Mac Miller and rest in peace to all of them. But yeah, rest in peace. The reason I don't normally throw my opinion too much, and I definitely do say my opinion, but I don't throw my opinion too much about it, because I know that we don't know, because I was, with my mom. Those issues aren't 1D. There's not just one side. There's not just one wall. There's not just three walls to situations like that where guys are taking drugs like that because they feel like they have to. Because that's what it is. Like they feel like they have to take those drugs to fix whatever the problem is that they're feeling in their body. So yeah, she overdosed, and like I said, so I don't know, like I know I have like there's a couple people in my life who are pretty they're pretty loud about their opinion with overdosing, and a lot of them their take is, well, if they overdose, I don't give a fuck about them because they did it to themselves. So if you're one of those people in my life, I probably don't like you very much, and I've definitely never told you that. So, and I'm never going to, because this is my way of telling you that. Because I think it's something that people should dig a little deeper to understand, rather than just casting judgment. Because that's what a lot of people do. And I'm not perfect. I don't not catch judgment in a lot of situations, but that's one of them where I'm mindful. So like I said, I encourage people to be the same way. And like I said, I have people in my life, I know them right now, who are just really loud about that and their opinion on that. And I don't agree, and I don't appreciate it. But yeah, little known fact. And like I said, I have a lot of sympathy for people who go through, and not sympathy, because like I said, I know, I knew my mom. A part of it, she was doing it to herself, but a part of it she couldn't help. The mental part, she couldn't help that part. So like I said, I have a lot of sympathy for people who go through that, because I was there, and I was there to the end. And that was just really hard to watch, because like I said, I watched it my entire life. I watched her go down that path, that slow path of destruction, and it was really hard. So I don't know, like I said, and I could talk about that probably forever, but rest in peace to all the artists and all the people I know that have passed away from an overdose, because I even know guys who have lost their parents because of overdoses in exactly the same type of situation. They got sick parents who or self-medicating, or even not self-medicating at times, and just not dealing with the situation well. But yeah, and then so the day she passed away, actually, I had a baseball game. Like I said, I was drinking that water and stuff because I had a game that day, for like the tournament where we were going to the Little League World Series, and I actually ended up playing and pitching, and that was a really big deal for me. And I remember the score that day was 6-5. We beat Woolmarket B team 6-5. And when we had to beat Ocean Springs to go to the state championship to go to the Little League World Series. We had Ocean Springs at that time, cocky fuckers. And that was my hometown where I'm from with my mom. So that was another piece of that game. there was a lot of like anger there, you know, because like I said, I was treated different by those people, and I was treated different because of like my mom, and my mom's gone now, so like, and those people knew me and they knew my mom, and that's who they talked shit about back then. So like I said, there was a lot of anger towards those people, and I really wanted to beat those people. Not only that, but those cocky fuckers had plane tickets booked already. They had their hotels booked already. Those motherfuckers, dude, we wanted to beat them so bad, and it just made me angry. I just made myself angry thinking about it. Because like I said, those motherfuckers thought they were just going to come in there and beat us, but we beat those bitches. So we went in there, and I'll tell you guys the last play, and I wish somebody had it on camera or something, but somebody probably does, honestly. The last play of the game for when we were playing Ocean Springs, my dad came down. A lot of my family was there because they were there because of all the stuff that happened with my mom. So the championship against Ocean Springs was the day before my mom's funeral. So regardless of the outcome of that game, I had to wake up the next morning because the game was at night. I had to wake up the next morning and go to my mom's funeral. And bury her like the next day. God, yeah, that was hard. So we're playing this game that's going to be poetic no matter what, right? Like this is one of those sports games that's going to be poetic no matter what happens. So me and Bryson. So when I moved to D'Iberville, there were some guys that took me under their wing, and these were the main two guys, Chad Duckworth and Kozlowski. My Nana grew up with Kozlowski, so they kind of knew me already. And these were their kids, Michael and Bryson. Me and Bryson, like I said, are still really good friends to this day. So Bryson and I, like I said, at the time, were really good friends. We were the oldest on the team. We were the two oldest guys. I'm putting with my fingers. We were the two oldest guys on the baseball team. Another Duckworth. I gotta fight him. Yeah. Bryson's last name's Duckworth. So yeah, me and Bryson were really good friends, and it was 6-5. So like I said, we won the first game 6-5. It's 6-5, bottom of the 7th or 5th, I think, because it's Little League. So bottom of whatever inning, because it was time limit too. So it might have been the fucking 4th inning. Bottom of the inning, 1 out, runners on first and second, and one of their best hitters was up. One of Ocean Springs, they were good. Like, don't get me wrong. Those guys, like a lot of those guys play D1 baseball now. One of them plays for Tennessee. His name's Garrett. We're still pretty cool, or I like to think so. And he's like projected to be drafted. He was drafted last year. He's probably gonna get drafted this year. Like I said, he's at Tennessee now. So a lot of those guys like were the truth back then and are still the truth now. So like I said, one of their best hitters was up. Bryson was playing first base and I was playing third base, and the kid popped it. He hit it and he popped it up foul over behind first base. And I think it was actually between home plate and first base. Like it was like in the infield foul territory. And Bryson, I remember, like, I wish I could like get up and show you guys, but he leaned on the fence to catch it. And actually, I'm definitely just gonna stand up and show you guys. He leaned up on the fence to catch it, right? And I'm standing over here, fence is over here. And he turned this way and fucking threw it. Like, I was already ready for the ball. He turned and just, like, we made eye contact. Like, sorry, fucking fucked up the camera. We made eye contact when he threw the ball. And I was already in position. The kid that was running from second to third, it was like slow motion. Bryson turned. We made eye contact. The fucking coach was, go, go, go. And the coach next to me is, get down, get down. And so we're sitting there, like I said, and he throws the ball. And the guy that was running and the guy that we got out, I still remember his name, was Britt McKay. Running from second to third. Actually, if it wasn't Britt McKay, it was, no, it was Britt McKay. It definitely was just Britt McKay. Running from second to third, I was already like dropped to a knee to block the bag. Like I was already had my hands down. I was already like blocking the bag so the kid couldn't get there. And I like where I was, like I said, my hands and knees were like this. Like I was like down like this. The ball like went perfect in my hand and the kid was out. Game over. 6-5. So to me and to everybody else, first of all, I cried. And nobody else understood why. I remember this kid, Robert Starks, and like I said, he goes to school here now. I remember he came up to me and he didn't understand because nobody really knew what was going on. I didn't tell everybody what was going on. Coaches knew, obviously, but I remember I cried and Robert Starks came up to me and he was like, "We just won. Why are you crying?" And I just remember telling him like just fuck off, like leave me alone. And I remember like Bryson came and hugged me because he knew what was going on. And like Kaz hugged me and stuff, and I'm getting emotional thinking about it. But it was just like it it was like a triumphant moment for me and for like everybody. Because my thing growing up, right, when I was going through all this stuff with my mom and I was playing ball and I was playing sports, was like my number one objective was to like get us out, you know, like that was it. That was like that's what I woke up for every single day from like 8 years old to 12 years old. That's like what I had in my mind. And I still to this day remember like the house I had pictured in my mind to buy for my mom when I was a kid. Like I remember the house that I made in my head for us, for her back then. So like I said, I just every single day was about doing this sports shit for her. You know, like I wanted to accomplish everything I wanted to accomplish in sports and make millions of dollars for her. And I remember like after she passed, it was kind of like there was a period of time where I was like, well, why the fuck am I even doing this anymore? You know, like why am I doing anything anymore? It was like everything I ever did was for her, you know, especially this like sports thing. So I'd finally done like it, you know, I'd done it for her, and it just felt really good. And I went to the I hadn't cried at this. That was the first time I'd cried because I left that out earlier when my parents told me, and that's something that a lot of people don't know too. And I still feel weird about that. But when my parents told me that my mom passed away, I didn't cry. And like I said, the first time I cried was on the field, like 16 days after. And then a period of time after that, I'll tell you guys in a second. But yeah, that was, like I said, that was something I left out earlier. That was a weird thing. And I just, that goes to show how fucked up I was in the head, honestly, at the time from all the shit that I'd been through. Cause like I said, I couldn't even, like, I remember how I felt, and it was just like, it was like nothing. I felt like numb. It was just like there was nothing that could have hurt me at that point. Like you couldn't have hurt me anymore at that point in my life. I'd felt like I'd been through so much. So like I said, the next day I had my funeral, my mom's funeral. And so many people showed up. My middle school teachers showed up. The principal showed up. Some of the people from the high school showed up, like, because I was going to high school. I hadn't been yet, but we were like the talk of the town because we were the Little League team that went to the Little League World Series. So on top of already being the talk of the town, my mom passed away. So like that, you know, boldened me a little bit more. So like I said, a lot of people from the community showed up. And I remember thinking, and I'll never forget this, and I might cry. I'll try not to. But I'll never forget this because it meant a lot. And that was the first time I realized that somebody like understood what I was going through, and could like, I could start to let things out. Ronnie, my brother, hugged me. And like I said, I'm trying not to fucking cry. Ronnie, my brother, hugged me and he told me, you don't have to be strong like here anymore. He was like, I'm here. He was like, let me be strong today. He was like, you cry. So like I said, I'm crying for sure. But I lost it. That was like from all the shit that had happened. I let it out like that day. And that, like I said, that was hard. And I'll never forget that. Cause that was one of the first times where I started to finally like unpack, some of the stuff that I had been through, you know? And it was one of the first times where somebody said to me I didn't have to be like the man, you know, because for up until like that point I was the man, like I was the man that I had to be, for everybody. So that was like the first time where I just got to shed a little bit of that shell, you know, like that shell that I had built over like 6 years, you know. It just felt really good to kind of just like let some of that off my shoulder. It was like a weight off my shoulder a little bit. Like Ronnie took a little bit of the weight off my shoulder. So yeah, and then from there, honestly, I can just talk about like me and what happened with me after that, because like I said, I went from being like the poorest kid in the neighborhood and like the weird kid in the neighborhood to like being the rich kid in the neighborhood, and being the athletic kid in the neighborhood. And all of that, all of those emotions and all of those things that I got, at that time, because what it felt like and what happened in reality is I came from a place where I knew what I had and what I didn't have. And then I was given everything that I ever wanted by my grandparents. Um, and that was because they could and because they wanted to, and I'm so happy they did, because that was definitely the best thing for us to happen. But because of the status that we had, and because of the things that they got us, material things that they got us, and because of the way that made me feel, which was higher than thou, truthfully, like I just felt like I was so much better than every single human being around me, um, for the next like 2 or 3 years. I didn't do anything for myself. I did everything in my power to be doing something that wasn't thinking about the pain that I had in my heart and in my soul from losing my best friend. And like I said, that I know for a fact that's why I don't have a whole bunch of memories from ages 13 to 15, is because I didn't do anything meaningful, hardly. And that's not true. Like, I'm sure I did a lot of things meaningful during that time period, but I just remember, like I said, always having to talk to a girl, or having to be putting somebody down, or having to be putting myself up, be it on sports or in social media, or I don't know, on the internet, like, in games and stuff, because I was gaming still. Like I said, I just had to do whatever I had to do to make myself feel better about the situation that I was in. And not that I was in a bad situation, because like I said, I was in one of the nicest houses in the town. I was one of the coolest kids in the city, like I'm like a popular kid in my class, and it's just like I was just like broken, I was just like broken inside. And it was really hard, man. It was really hard, because I remember ninth and 10th grade year, during my ninth and 10th grade year, and people can tell you, they know, and I've admitted it to people, and I've apologized, because it was a thing I went through when I got into college. During that time, I've treated human beings the worst I've ever treated human beings, and probably will ever treat human beings in my life during those 2 years. I just know that, like, nothing I was doing, like I said, one of the big things was girls. And I was just treating girls like they were just like, and obviously I was 14, and what can you do as a 14, 15-year-old? But I was just treating girls like they were just mine, like, and I know, like I said, it doesn't mean a lot in high school, but it does, because that's what was going through my head. Just like they were like mine to have, and then I would just go through girls and recycle girls. And there's a couple to this day, who still blame me for some of the mental things that they had to go through. And I take credit for that in a bad way, like a good way for them, a bad way for me, because like that's who I was for a couple years. And like I said, at every point, if I wasn't, getting some girl to make some guy feel like a piece of shit, then I was bullying somebody to make him feel like a piece of shit because they didn't have as much money as I did, or they weren't wearing the Nikes that I was wearing, or they couldn't throw a baseball as far as I could throw it, or they didn't make the team that I made, or they didn't live in the house that I lived in, or whatever the fuck. And I know, like I said, during that time, and that's actually, like I said, funny enough, that's when like I came up with Kaching, because like I wanted an identity online, and my identity up to that point was like Jason DeShong, and it still is now, and that's why I keep it now. But that, like, I got that name because it was just like money was like what was on my mind. Like that was just like all I felt like was important was money. And I know after a certain point, with my parents and stuff, with them just, constantly showering us with materials and money, which was great. Like I said, I don't think my parents could have handled the situation any better than they did. But after a certain point, I realized, I have all these things, I've got literally everything I want. I've got the PlayStation, I got a PC, I've got a nice house, I've got all these friends, I've got all this shit, but I still don't have my best friend. And I just, like, I knew that nothing I did and nothing that I bought and nobody that I kissed or shit on or how far I hit a baseball or like how big my house was or how nice my computer was. Like no matter what I did, none of it was going to fix the damage that had been done to like my soul, you know? So that was one of the first, that was like sophomore. That was honestly after I broke up with the girl that I dated for a while in high school. Like I dated Hannah for a really long time, and she was a really good girl. Like she has a daughter now. She's a really good person. We had our issues, but like I said, they're good people. So like I said, after we kind of broke up, I reevaluated what was going on in my life, and not in a crazy way. I just like, you know, reflected on our relationship and where I was at in my life and stuff. I'm 15, 16 years old. And I just realized where my life was headed was not where I wanted it to go. Just being like this cold-hearted, materialistic asshole in this like egotistical, just like, it's just not who I wanted to be. It's just not the person that I wanted to be ever. And like, I remember going through that, and then I met Ari. And honestly, like, and I've told people this, like my close friends know this. Like, if it wasn't for Ari, I would still be that person. Because she just helped me see, and Hannah did too, honestly, but Ari so much more than anybody else. Ari just helped me understand how to deal with like not only just my own emotion, but other people's emotions, which helped me like learn things about myself and the people around me during all of these times, to put me in such a better mental position to be able to unpack all of the things that had been bothering me over the years, and like also shed myself of all of the things that weren't me. Like Ari was like one of the first people who like allowed, and like I said, like we didn't end on the best terms, but I would tell her today like all of these things, and I think she knows it. She has to know these things. There's no way she doesn't know these things. She does know these things. Like I said, she was one of the first people in my life who let me be me. Like, she didn't care about the video games. She didn't care about the music. She didn't care about like the emotional stuff. And she like didn't care until like the end of our relationship about like the emotional unavailability. You know, like Ari was just like everything I needed at the time. And like I said, what she really was she was just like the block for me to sit on once I lost all of my like athlete friends who weren't really my friends. All of like the rich kids and like the popular kids who weren't really my friends. We were just all friends by circumstance. And I say that because all of those people who I called my friends, who I stopped talking to because I was so focused on like being a better person and like being a good boyfriend to Ari, I've still never heard from those people. And I don't think I will ever hear from those people, because I don't think they've gone through that mental shift that I went through at 15 or 16. I think they'll go through it at 35 because that's the type of people they are. Maybe I'll hear from them then. But like I said, I feel very strongly about that and that friend group that I'm no longer a part of because I don't talk to any of them, and they don't talk to any they don't want to talk to me, and that speaks volumes for what our relationship actually meant to them and to me and to the world. So like I said, what really happened from there is like I just started hanging out with like a new crowd. I stopped hanging out with like all the athletes. I stopped hanging out with all the rich kids. And I honestly just started hanging out with like the nerds. And I just started to transition to like not really give a shit what anybody thought about what the fuck I was doing. Because I know like and like in baseball, one of the things I was so worried about was like I like to have fun. I liked and during baseball to smile and bounce around and just like have fun. Sports was about having fun for me. I like was never in it to win or like, and I was in it to win. I was a competitive person, still a competitive person, but like I was never in it to like beat the shit out of somebody else or just like make somebody cry or just like win championships and trophies. It was a sport. It was a game. I was going to have fun with my friends. Like that was the bottom line for me. So that was like another turning point where it was like, okay, fuck the bullshit. Cause I was ready to quit baseball because it was so unfun to me. And it flipped a switch in me where I just didn't give a fuck. about what my coach had to say, in a bad way to a degree, honestly. What my coach had to say, what my parents had to say, what my friends had to say. I didn't give a fuck about what anybody had to say about anything that I wanted to do that made me happy. Why? Because it made me happy. And like I said, I know at one point, and honestly, I'm still pissed at my parents about this, honestly, and if they see this shit, I don't care, because I still think it's bullshit that they did this, and I'm not super pissed about it, but I still think it's bullshit that they did this, because I still believe that they were only worried about what people were saying about them, and I hate that, because like I said, that's the whole premise of it, of this, what I'm talking about. So at one point, I actually was playing baseball with my zipper down. We played in Shucker Stadium, and I played with my zipper down. And it became a thing for me, and I started to post pictures with my zipper down, and it became, like I said, on the coast, it became like a thing. I was the guy who played with the zipper down, because I had a good game with it once, and I felt like I could keep it. And my parents actually told me at one point, stop doing that, because, and like I said, the reason for them was like respect for the game. That was the first one they tried to bullshit, and then the second one was like, what message are you trying to send? And then it was finally like, the truth is, all of our friends are talking about us and we're looking bad and we don't have anything to say to defend you because we don't want to defend you. So I ended up having to zip my zipper up because my parents couldn't defend me, which is fine. They defended me a lot of points and didn't defend me a lot of points, and I love them for it and hate them for it at times. So I don't hate them for anything. I lied. But I don't agree with them not defending me at the times where they didn't. But like I said, from there, I just kind of like grew into this shell of the person that I am now. And honestly, like I love looking back at this because like this is the person to me that I was. This was the person that put people down, and that was just like this rich kid that like, I don't know, just felt like he was better than everybody. And this guy was not that guy. And I just feel really confident, and I'm really happy about like the transformation I've made from even then and even now, because it's still a progress, still a process. Like I'm gonna be forever working on myself because it's a really rewarding process. I really like doing it. But like I said, like just like these times, I was like a better person during these times. And one of the funny things that people know, I'm sure, because I posted it before. I was having so much fun my senior year. Actually, they told us we were wearing a different jersey than what we were today for our senior day. We were supposed to be wearing these like black and white jerseys that we had. They were called the Ghost jerseys, and they were like our senior year jerseys. So the seniors wanted to wear those jerseys. Our baseball coach changed it to not wear them for whatever reason, and I'm sure it had something to do with some bullshit that didn't have to do with us. But and I'm mad at him for that too, and I think he knows that. But we wore this, and I was wearing this jersey because that jersey we didn't wear an undershirt under. So I didn't have an undershirt. I didn't bring an undershirt to our field house, to our field that day. And he, I got there and he was like, well, we're wearing this white jersey, and this white jersey was sleeveless. Well, I was like, well, I'm wearing this Pikachu jersey right now, and I'm not going back home to get an undershirt. So I'm wearing this Pikachu jersey under my jersey, and it's your fault, period. So I wore it, and it was super fun. And so the funny part of it is I hadn't dropped a single ball in high school. I was a very solid outfielder. Like I was really good in the field. And because of this, and because of all the disrespect I'd probably been doing to the game of baseball over the year, I finally dropped my first ball while I was wearing a Pokemon shirt. So I got a lot of shit during the game from everybody, from people at the game in the stands, from people playing on both teams, on my team and their team, saying like, gotta catch them all, because I didn't catch them all, and also didn't catch them all in my very last game of my career. And something that's funny that I think goes to show, I don't really know what it goes to show, but I think it shows something, is my very last high school at-bat. I was very much a utility guy, going all of high school. Like I very much did what was best for the team, because I was like fast, but I wasn't the fastest. I was like, I could hit the ball, but I couldn't hit it the furthest. The only thing I felt like I was good at that other people weren't as good at was like the field. Like I said, I could throw the fuck out of a baseball, and I was fast, and I had a lot of range in the outfield. So like I said, that was the only thing I would say differentiated myself. But I did jobs that the team needed done. So I bunted a lot. I sacrificed bunted a lot. I popped out a lot. I would do hit and runs a lot. I was just a utility guy. That's what my role was. So my very last at bat in high school baseball was a bunt. My senior year, of high school baseball, my very last at bat that I'll get to tell my kids about was a bunt, a sacrifice bunt. And like I said, I don't know what that says about me, but I feel like it says something. And I know a lot of guys got like their signals that they didn't agree with for their last at bats, and they just went with it and they did what they wanted. So, like I said, I don't exactly know what that does or says, but I think it's meaningful. But no, yeah. And then after that, man, I keep getting into the shell of the person that I want to be. And then I eventually come here and fast forward, and now I'm here, honestly. I think that felt good to talk about. Not nearly as many people in here as the other time, but I think it's because I hyped it up way more. But also, there's like 10 people in here, and there was 20 in here at one point, I think, or like something like that. 15, 16. Regardless of the number, I really appreciate everybody that came through, everybody that's still here, everybody that decides to stop and come through. Because like I said, these are things that I should pay somebody to talk to about. But I would prefer to hash it out with people that I know and love and trust. And it's on the flip side of it, it's something that I like people to know about me, because these are all things that I've dealt with, and they're what makes me who I am. So when I deal with people, and I do things with people, sometimes the way I react to situations or the way I handle situations is a direct result of the things I've been through in my life. So I like people to know that, because I don't like people to be surprised when I do things. And a lot of the people that do know me aren't surprised when I do things. So like I said, that's why I want everybody to know. So I can always deal with people as they want me to, and not as I want to or have to make the situation better for both of us. So again, I really appreciate everybody being here. I think I'm going to call it for the day, because I think Jacob's going to be streaming later, so I think I'm going to be shouting that out soon. I'm going to go through everybody here. Also, if you're watching this after the live broadcast, I really appreciate you coming and checking this out. I know if you're watching this, you probably watched the last episode, and it really means a lot to me that people want to see this. So again, if you're like coming back watching this after it's been edited and put back up on Twitch, I really appreciate you and your view and just your care, because again, and I've said it before, like, it's not about the numbers or doing this or doing that. It's just more about like getting my story out there and people listening to me. And it's like, this is a really healthy way for me to talk about these things. So again, just from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys for being here, kind of, because that's how I feel about it. So I will probably see you guys not tomorrow. Actually, there will be no stream tomorrow, New Year's Eve. Probably got plans with the boys. But again, I really appreciate everybody coming through. I will see you guys more than likely on the 1st, but I'm sure you'll see on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat, wherever you came from, when my next update is. So again, I really appreciate you guys coming by. I will see you guys very soon. Peace.